Good morning all and welcome to today's presentation with Asia Answers, Bali, the virtual vacation. Of course, many of you have been sitting at home thinking about where will be my first vacation once we come out of COVID-19. I can tell you a lot of people are looking at beach destinations, areas that will give you an experience to understand the people, and a place that continues to come up when we discuss this with our travel advisors is Bali. So for the next 40 to 45 minutes, we're going to take you on a virtual vacation through Bali. However, there is a number of reasons why we should be booking with a travel advisor. Of course, we jumped back 3 to 4 months ago around about March when many people were caught in different places around the world. And we did find out very quickly the people who were able to get the answers the quickest were the people who had booked with travel advisors. They were able to pick up the phone, chat to someone, and then they would be able to get the ball rolling in regards to changing their plan, getting them home from their destination, and just making sure they could work through all of their questions that they may have with their trip. Now, we have a number of different reasons, 10 in total, that we've come up with and discovered that works why you should book with a travel advisor. They give you a peace of mind. They give you great customer service. They maximize your budget. They give you better choices or alternatives. They also save time. They give you that personal service. Isn't it? There's something about being able to pick up the phone, dial a number, and actually get a real person on the other end of the line as opposed to an automated computer system. They give you great insight and expertise because they may have been there or they know someone that has traveled there extensively. You've also got document assistance. You're not just getting a confirmation number. They're giving you a really good, great breakdown of what you will experience each day. They're a consumer advocate, so they're all about ensuring those who do travel have the best time available and making sure they give you all the information that you do need as well for a great trip. And then they have industry contacts. They're going to events. They're going to conferences. They're getting to know people. So if they want to know the most up-to-date information, they've got it. But also if something does go wrong, they know the first person to contact so they can be ahead of the ball, so to speak. So when you're booking a trip, always chat to your trusty travel advisor, and I know many of them invited you here today for our virtual vacation in and around Bali. Of course, we have been doing virtual vacations all throughout the world, and we obviously have associations with Africa, Asia, which we're doing today, and also the South Pacific, Australia, New Zealand, and the islands such as Tahiti, Fiji, and Cook Islands. If you'd like to know more about any of these destinations, chat to your travel advisor and they will be able to send you an electronic copy of our brochure, which you can see on the screen right now. Beautiful panda there for Asia, koala for Australia, and then a lion there for Africa. So these are a great introduction to help you start planning that next trip with your travel advisor to somewhere around the world. However, for the next 40 minutes, it's all about breathtaking Bali. Now, Bali is beautiful. There's no other way to explain it, but it does have so much to offer outside of that initial beauty that you do discover. Something that I'd like to bring to your attention, and it's only been announced just this week. Amid the pandemic, the hustle and bustle of life continues. We are going to need somewhere time to relax and get back in touch with ourselves and also our close ones. What better place to do so than the best hotel in the world? Yes, it happens to be in Bali in a place called Ubud, and it's called the Capella Ubud. Bali, Indonesia has just been crowned the #1 hotel on Travel and Leisure's list of top 100 hotels in the world. So this is a great destination, and this is just hot off the press. It's only happened this week. Look at this beautiful property, and this is one of the areas that you would be able to visit whilst you're in Bali, Ubud. And this is the property itself. As you can see, you've got your own little plunge pool, and it's got all the fine decoration that really sets Bali and Indonesia apart from other locations as well. As you can see, it's set right there amongst the natural jungle environment. So maybe write that down in your little book. If you want to go and stay at, the #1 hotel in the world, it actually happens to be in 2020 here in Bali and specifically in Ubud. But if you need more information on this property, please chat to your travel advisor and we'd be more than happy to be able to help working as a team moving forward. However, Bali is beautiful, okay? There is so much to see and do. I myself am Australian, and when Australians frequently say about Bali is that it captures the sentiment of why we travel, okay? It allows you to have a holiday. It allows you to experience something different. But at the same time, getting to know different cultures, food, and also being able to do it in a relatively small area. And that's why I believe Bali was one of the first areas that a lot of Australians went to when we started traveling, is because Bali is, you go 2 hours and then you're in a completely different ecosystem, different environment, and you can see so much in a week or two whilst traveling in and around Bali. However, for those who do not know too much about Bali, let's give you a quick little overview. Here's a map. As you can see, Indonesia itself is made up of over 17,000 islands in and around the Indonesian archipelago. And I've only just learnt this week. I do a trivia quiz each week with some friends back in Australia. And Indonesia is the only country in the world that the equator goes through. So there's a little bit of a tip for you. Only Asian country, that is. Now, in fact, 80% of tourists to the entire Indonesian archipelago of the 17,000 islands actually only go to the island of Bali. So it starts to give you an understanding of why Bali is such a prominent area to visit. Bali, though, as we touched on, is so much more than just fun in the sun. It has superb beaches, yes, tick. But it also has picturesque villages in the middle of rice paddies. It has a verdant, mountainous interior, so you can get out and do some hiking and discover nature. And of course, it has friendly, peaceful people. Of course, when you go to any tropical destination, you also want to have delicious tropical fruits as well. And Bali has this in abundance. And of course, when we do travel, we always like to pick up a souvenir or two. And I can tell you, Bali has some of the best places to shop and also get a bargain or two as well. So in and around the markets of the little townships in and around Bali itself, such as Kuta, Lombok, which we're going to cover today, and further afield as well. Of course, when you know a place well, often you have celebrities that visit there as well. And a gentleman that I'm sure we've all seen at some point throughout our life and maybe even experienced some of his product is Sir Richard Branson. Consider this quote from Richard Branson. As a teenager, I went to Bali a lot, but it's a long, long way from England, which is why when we bought Necker Island, we made it a little mini Bali. And this funny anecdote from Matt Groening, the creator of The Simpsons. I went to Bali and I was in a small village, and somebody who was with me showed a village woman a small figurine of Bart Simpson. The village woman looked at me and said, Mickey Mouse? Who wouldn't want to go to a place where Bart Simpson could be incognito? Bali literally has something for everybody. There's some interesting and weird and wonderful facts about Bali as well. To understand, every priest of every religion in Bali is paid by the government. That is completely religious tolerance. There are multiple calendars used in Bali, apart from the 365 traditional calendar that I'm sure all of us are aware of. They also have what's known as the Por Yukon calendar, which only has 210 days, and each year is divided into 6 months of 35 days duration. And then they also have the other calendar, which is called a Asahi, and it is a 12 lunar month calendar. So imagine living in a place where it doesn't really matter what day it is. It tells you the people are very relaxed and the culture as well. Now, for those who like a good morning coffee to get us, up and about, the world's most expensive coffee, Kopi Luwak, is one of the specialities of Bali. So you could literally just sit on a beach cafe and drink good coffee the whole time you're there. The coffee beans for this coffee are gathered from the droppings of the civet, a wild cat though. The outer cover of the coffee cherries are digested in the civet's stomach, but the inner sweet core is passed through and collected to make Kopi Luwak. A single cup of coffee costs around about $50. So maybe we won't be having as many cups of coffees as we initially thought. And of course, they love the family. And when people have babies in Bali, Balinese babies are named before they are born. Regardless of gender, each baby receives one of 4 names based on their birth order. And then they also have a traditional name, such as John or Mary or whatever the case may be. As we touched on earlier, Bali itself is rather a small area when you look at Indonesia as a whole. The island of Bali lies about 2 miles east of Java and is approximately 8 degrees south of the equator. So east to west, the island is approximately 95 miles wide and spans approximately 69 miles north to south. So as you can see, 2 to 3 hours and you realistically can be anywhere on Bali. Now most people, and when you are flying internationally, you're going to fly in here to Denpasar. And today we're going to be looking at the beach areas of Legian, Kuta, Jimbaran, around to Nusa Dua, up to Sanur, then up into the mountains of Ubud, which is definitely a place not to be missed. And we'll also be looking at some of the little outer islands as well in and around this region. Bali's central mountains include several peaks at over 6,600 feet. Now, the highest is a place called Mount Agung, which is close to 10,000 feet. Known as the mother mountain of Bali's volcanic nature, and has contributed to its exceptional fertility, and its tall mountain ranges provide the high rainfall that supports the highly productive agricultural sector. Now, the longest river only flows for about 50 miles. So yet again, that's something you could literally do the whole river in a day. But this is what sets Bali apart from many other destinations in and around the tropics. The island is surrounded by coral reefs. Bali is part of the Coral Triangle, the area with the highest biodiversity of marine species. In this area alone, over 500 reef-building coral species can be found. For comparison, this is about 7 times as much as you see in the entire Caribbean. So the understanding straight away, hard corals, soft corals, a variety of different marine species, and just the colour that you're going to see when you snorkel, scuba dive, or just swim in and around the waters of Bali is arguably second to none. Beaches in the south tend to have the white sand beaches, that picture-perfect scenario. However, while those in the north and west have black volcanic sand, Bali itself has no major waterways, although the Ho River is navigated by small sampan boats. The largest city, and where you'll most likely fly into, is Denpasar, near the southern coast. Its population is around about 500,000. Other important cities include the beach resort of Kuta, which is practically part of Denpasar's urban area, and then you have Ubud, situated at the north of Denpasar in the island's cultural centre. Bali itself is part of the Coral Triangle, and the area with the highest diversity of marine species, as we touched on before, in the world. Other important cities in and around this region we will touch on are Legion, and as you go down along the coast, you'll understand there's different regions for different types of people, just depending if you're looking at partying, shopping, relaxing, restaurants. All of them are available in every area, but certain areas specialise in each of these different day-to-day activities. And then, of course, there's Ubud, which is not to be missed. If you are going to Bali, you have to spend at least 2 to 3 nights up in Ubud. You're probably wondering, when is the best time to visit Bali? Now, as we touched on, Bali itself lies just 8 degrees south of the equator and has a fairly even climate all year round. Daytime temperatures at the beach range from around about 70 to 90 degrees Fahrenheit, so perfect. In Ubud, this often can be a little bit cooler because you're up in the mountains. Now, May through to September are dry and the popular months to visit. So realistically, the times of the summer vacation here in the US. Now, May through September, as we touched on, are normally the basis of visit, as this period is generally wet in North Asia. So Bali makes an excellent choice for US summer holiday travellers. So it's a great alternative to other places in Asia because obviously you're setting below the equator. The wet season itself is from October through to April, with December to March being the wettest, okay, in the monsoon season. As you can see here, this little guy is taking a little bit of cover. Now, getting to Bali is quite easy, and then specifically into Indonesia. We have a number of different options. Obviously, you could fly via Singapore on Singapore Airlines. You then have the option of flying via Hong Kong on Cathay. You could go via Taiwan and Taipei on EVA Air. The list goes on. There are so many different options and availability into Indonesia, and the best person to speak to about that is your travel advisor, and they'd be able to give you options for layovers or stopovers, or maybe you're looking at the quickest route, or you're looking at the cheapest route, and that's something your travel advisor would be able to advise on moving forward. Of course, when you do touch down into Bali, getting around is rather easy. Okay, you have the local taxi, as you can see here. And these can easily be waved down as you're walking in and along the streets. However, more budget ways to travel in Bali include public buses and the locally popular BMO, short for BCAC or Bermota, or motorised rickshaw is probably the most common name in which people look at getting in and around. Of course, entry requirements. US nationals eligible for 30-day visa on arrival, just ensuring that your passport has a 6-month validity, 2 blank pages so they can stamp it. And as the world has evolved, obviously, with the coronavirus and COVID, medication and shots are not required at this point. However, we are advising, obviously, to check with your doctor before going and getting all the most up-to-date information, because things will change as we move forward. As we all know, things are changing day by day. And you're probably wondering, when can you go to Bali? When is it going to reopen? When are you going to be able to go and see the beautiful people of Bali? Well, Bali is looking at being one of the first places to open back up in Asia. As you can imagine, Bali does rely very, very heavily on tourism, Bali itself as opposed to the rest of Indonesia. And at the moment, they've opened it up in phases. Now, the second phase, which is July 31st, which is only 8 days away, Bali will reopen the island to all domestic tourists. Indonesian tourists will be able to travel to the islands for the purpose of tourism. All tourism activities, tours and attractions will open. So that's on July 31st. So that's the internal market, the domestic market. Now, at the moment, the most up-to-date information that we have available is that the third phase, September 11, 2020, Bali will officially reopen to international tourists. However, at the moment, we are waiting to get further detail released from Bali and Indonesian tourism as a whole to see the type of testing that will be required and also to which countries that it will be open to as well. However, at the moment, September 11, post that is when you'll be looking at travelling to Bali and beyond. So as we often see, when anyone's looking at travelling anywhere internationally, you always like to have at least a 3 to 4 month window booking in advance, 5 to 6 months, just depending on the person. And your travel advisor will be able to, give you further information on this. What we would be suggesting is looking at, obviously, the last 3 months of the year as being the earliest to travelling into Indonesia and Bali specifically. However, maybe then also looking early into next year for a trip. We've all got to start planning that trip to get away. I'm sure we're all looking forward to travelling abroad and experience the beautiful world out there. Now, what you do need to consider, though, when you do travel is dress code in Bali. Although the Balinese are conservative, Bali has been a beach destination for so long that the dress code no longer applies to visitors while at the beach and around town. In a temple, however, both men and women are required to cover their shoulders by wearing a sleeved shirt and their legs by wearing long pants. A skirt or sarong is perfect. Flip-flops are acceptable footwear, but you may have to take these on and off as you go into temples. So a few little things to remember, though, is don't use your left hand to touch or give. This precaution has to do with the left hand being used primarily for hygienic purposes. The exception is when you use both hands to hand something over to someone. This is considered a high compliment. Don't use your index finger to point or to beckon. If you need to call attention to someone, beckon him or her to come by extending your hand and with palm facing down, making a downward wave. Point with your right thumb if need be, so to speak. And this is something you'll see as you're walking around the streets of Bali. Don't step on offerings, which are referred to as kaneng sari. Kaneng sari are offered to the creator by locals first thing in the morning. When stepping out, you'll find these little packages of woven palm leaf, flowers and herbs everywhere, even on sidewalks and stairs. Stepping on one can be deeply offensive to any Balinese who witness your misstep. So watch where you step in and around these regions. For those who are unfamiliar with Hinduism, here's a little bit of a brief overview, because Hinduism is obviously very important in Bali. Hinduism is not an organised religion and has no single systematic approach to teaching its value system, nor do Hindus have a simple set of rules to follow like the Ten Commandments. A common thread is belief in a supreme being and adherence to certain concepts such as truth, dharma and karma. Of course, Bali is a little bit of a melting pot of various cultures, and you'll see that in their cuisine. Balinese cuisine uses a variety of spices blended with fresh vegetables, meat and fish. Influence of Indonesian cuisine, as well as the Chinese and Indian as well. Festivals and religious celebrations include many dishes consumed communally. Rice, the primary grain, is almost always consumed as a staple, accompanied with vegetables, meat and seafood. Pork, chicken, fruit, vegetables and seafood are widely utilised. However, just like most of Hindus, beef is never or rarely consumed. Bali has quite a lot of cooking schools with daily courses of Balinese cuisine available. And this will allow you to actually go to the farm, collect, and then take it back to a Balinese cooking school back to the table. And this has become very popular throughout all of the world, and specifically in Asia. A lot of people refer to it as paddock to plate, farm to plate. You get the idea, and this is very popular in Bali. Of course, the night markets are not to be missed as you travel around any little city or any little town in and around Bali. Even the bigger cities will have some great markets as well. And they're often referred to as warungs, which is the food stands where you can get some of the great cuisine of this region. The regions of Bali, even though it is quite a small area, there are a number of different places to visit, and that will then determine on what you may be looking for your time in Bali. Now, the first place is Kuta. Many people have heard of the name Kuta Beach. This is often referred to as Surfer Central, where the beach party has been going on for a half a century. If you're into a year-round spring break type of destination, Kuta Beach is the place to be. Kuta Beach is located on the western side of the island's narrow isthmus, and nearby resorts of Tuban, Legian and Seminyak are all within close walking distance. Of course, it has nightclubs, people zipping around on small motorbikes, and beach touts selling everything from mood-altering substances to knock-off designer wear. What's not to love about a little bit of time in Kuta? The only thing about Kuta that is appreciated by all, though, is the amazing sunsets. Worth a visit to watch the sunset, even if you don't stay and party until sunrise. Kuta Beach is located on the western side of the island's narrow isthmus, and as we touched on, it's very close to Legian and Seminyak, which I find is more popular for a lot of travellers from North America. As we move down, we move up to Legian. Adjacent but north of Kuta is a little bit quieter, and for those who want to dial it down a notch, and I find that this is a very popular destination. Of course, it does still have its nightlife, but not to the same extent that Kuta has. We then move down to Seminyak, or over to Seminyak, is a fashionable and upscale area. This is also very popular with a lot of North American travellers as well. This is where you get a lot of your 4- and 5-star hotels. Local shops catered more to a well-heeled clientele. Seminyak is Bali's most fashionable beach as well, home to among the island's luxurious resorts and host to a number of fine restaurants and boutiques as well. As you can see by just walking inside one of their main shopping malls, it gives you that sort of real Western feel, so to speak. And the restaurants are a little bit more upscale in and around this region. We now move across to Seminyak. And this here, yet again, has got some great options, and it's a sister to Kuta and Legian, however, it is to the south. So here, very popular places to visit, to stay, is the W Retreat and Spa, and it also has some very popular venues in regards to socialising, one of those being Kuta Ta and also the Potato Head Beach Club. This is mentioned in articles, Lonely Planets, sort of any type of material that you pick up on Bali, they often refer to as the Potato Head Club is one place not to be missed. As you can see, great place to relax, pool, arts and crafts going on, and as you can understand, just a great place to have a vibe about what Bali is all about, with a lot of international tourists here as well. In and around this region, great little shopping area, and over the years they've also developed a number of different areas of shopping in regards to a beach walk, and you'll see this in and around the Kuta region as well, and this is linking a lot of the actual little cities and towns as you move along the boardwalk. It's really stepped itself up in the last 10 to 15 years. I can remember my first friends ever travelling to Bali going back, 20 to 30 years ago. It was really just a beach destination, but since then there's been a gradual uptake in regard to the modern conveniences in and around this region. And of course, it is also a great destination for families as well, as you can see by the water park that we've got here. However, in and around this region as well, there's also the history that can be relayed to anybody that's looking at understanding the Balinese way of life. And one of the most popular places to visit is the Cloth Museum, Museum Khan, as it's referred to in this region. Other great places to visit is the Pentagon Temple in Seminyak. Is a significant century-old temple that remains an important highlight. Red bricks and sandstone make up most of the temple's architecture, giving it an antique style and feel about it as well. Up the dragon staircase at the temple is the temple's vast courtyard, where a dozen different shrines and small pavilions draped in typical Balinese checkered cloths create an eerie and hallowed sight. Now, we move across to the Sanur coastline. It is almost 5 miles long, and due to the offshore reef, rarely sees more surf than gentle lapping waves. Sanur features several small connected beaches that are all quiet with a pleasant paved path where locals and expats enjoy morning jogs against the rising sun. Located on the eastern side of the isthmus, Sanur was Bali's original tourist destination. A former fishing village, heavy on charm and favoured by Europeans, Sanur is a calmer area than Kuta, perfect for families and those who prefer some peace and quiet, but enjoy a street scene as well. Some of Bali's first hotels and beachfront retreats together with an electric mix of restaurants, shops and bars, and an assortment of innovation and modern entertainment venues share the Sanur beach. Here it's loved for its laid-back atmosphere. Sanur Beach also maintains its wealth in arts and culture, making it an ideal destination to enjoy the best of both eras, classic and contemporary. One place not to be missed over here is La Mure Museum. It's a hidden treasure located right on the main Sanur beach of Sidham, behind the array of art and souvenir stores. The Memorial Museum mainly houses the artworks and personal history of painter Adrien-Jean Le Mure, a Brussels-born artist who was impressed by Bali and the shores of Sanur, where he dedicated his entire life to two things. He loved, and they were art and also women. He fell in love with a Legon dancer, Nai Pollock, who he later married and became his muse, extensively featured in his oil paintings. The house consists of 5 rooms, with the main building housing the couple's former living quarters, and also a great place just to visit. Just look at all those beautiful red terracotta floor tiles in and around this room. Something that's very popular in giving back to the Balinese community is to go and visit the Turtle Conservation and Education Centre. Once common, they have become a protected species, with major conservation efforts popping up in and around Bali. The Turtle Conservation and Education Centre, often referred to as the TCEC, was set up on Saragan Island, serves as a hatchery, nursery and sanctuary for turtles accidentally caught by fishermen. The centre is open to the public and offers an educational day out, ideal for the whole family. Now, when you're looking for flowers, you can't go past Bali. Bali Orchid Garden is a must-visit for flower lovers and gardening enthusiasts. It is located amidst the rows of local garden shops along the bypass Tophati Road north of Sanur, which comprise a variety of lush open-air collections and stalls selling tropical flora. The Bali Orchid Garden is the only of its kind here providing tours, and inside you will encounter a world full of natural colours. The landscape tropical gardens are available for guided tours on which you can witness an abundance in orchid species and admire various exotic tropical plants, such as the Rafflesia that you can see here, the Amphouriums, and then, of course, the lobster claw as well. We now move across to Nusa Dua, which means 2 islands. It's an all-inclusive gated beach development, purpose-built to cater to travellers who prefer to completely avoid Kuta Beach's frenzy and touts peddling their wares in and around the beach. So this is very much a laid-back region. Nusa Dua has many large resorts with spas, gift shops, a golf course, and Balinese arts and craft demonstration programs as well. Bali camel safaris offer a unique way to experience the beach of the southern coast of Nusa Dua. Well-trained camels take you on a steady and peaceful ride along the gorgeous white golden beaches of Nusa Dua, starting from the beachfront of the Nico Bali Resort and Spa. Giga Temple is a historical and cultural bastion amidst the modern luxury resorts that dominate the Nusa Dua Beach Resort area. The temple offers a great setting for those who love landscape, photography, and on clear mornings you can enjoy panoramas north over the bay with Mount Ungung on the horizon. Jimbaran Bay and its beaches are located on Bali's southern western coast of the narrow isthmus connecting the Bali mainland and the Phuket Peninsula. The beach in the Bay of Jimbaran offers small, secluded areas where tranquility and peace are the perfect antidote to a stressful world. The land gently slopes away from the beach, revealing exclusively celebrity haunts hidden under a canopy of leafy tropical forest. Jimbaran is the realm of luxury hotels, the likes of the Four Seasons Resort, as you can see here, a property that has all of the Four Seasons amenities, as you could imagine. It also has the Intercontinental, and Jimbaran at sunset is a place not to be missed. It is also famous for some of the best seafood restaurants in and around Bali as well. Uluwatu Temple is one of Bali's most iconic postcard landmarks, perched high on top of a cliff southwest of the Phuket Peninsula. renowned for its exotic setting amongst a coastal forest that is inhabited, hordes of grey long-tailed macaws. However, just 100 metres south of the main Uluwatu temple complex is an open amphitheatre where daily kikak fire dance performances are held at sunset. The simians that dwell in the surrounding forest are believed to be the guardians of the temple. Jimbaran Wet Market is the largest fresh seafood market in Bali. We'll be very interested to see how this changes moving forward, obviously with a lot of markets in and around Asia. However, when you are here visiting, one of the best things to try in and around this region is the red snapper that will be bought here at these markets. Now, a place that I touched on earlier and is not to be missed is Ubud. We've seen a lot of different little beach locations around the outskirts of Bali. However, when you get into the interior, you have Ubud, the cultural heartbeat of Bali. Just an hour's drive north of the beaches, it retains its charm in large part due to the large numbers of artists who live in the area. Located in the cool mountains, Ubud was once home to Bali's royal families. There are hundreds of shops selling antiques, wood carvings, crafts, textiles, paintings and jewellery, as well as some of the best art museums in the country, dozens of art studios, an excellent local craft market and galleries. Ubud is a treasure trove of cultural landmarks, ranging from ancient temples and majestic age-old royal palaces to wonderful panoramas of green hillsides and rice terraces. Sitting at a cafe, people watching, or strolling the back streets reveals a town that is busy but somehow serene. At night, after day, visitors leave, Ubud is pure magic. So this is why I always suggest, spending at least 2 nights up in this region. Ubud Monkey Forest is one of Ubud's most popular attractions, a natural forest sanctuary that is home to a horde of grey long-tailed macaws. The site is well preserved thanks to a community-based management program. The forest is near Ubud town centre and within easy walking distance from guest houses and resorts along the main roads. Besides watching playful monkeys in their natural habitat, swinging through canopies, lazing along pathways or feeding on bananas, the site offers cool walks along paved pathways through a leafy nutmeg forest. Beautiful ancient temples with guardian statues covered in moss also feature in and around this forest. A place that I'm sure many of you will have seen and may not even realise that you've seen it is the Tegalang rice terraces in Ubud. They are famous for their beautiful scenes of rice paddies, irrigated by the traditional Balinese method. The mountainside location is cool and breezy, and it is a well-known spot for photography. Painters and nature lovers also enjoy visiting this spot, and there are numerous art kiosks and cafes in this region. Gogajar is one of the island's most impressive archaeological sites. Located south of the Badula village, a region famous for its collection of historical sites. Something to remember though, you're not far from any of these while staying in Ubud. The temple complex is just 4 miles drive south of Ubud. Down a flight of stairs, you will discover a relic-filled courtyard and the main 11th century cave in which you can enter to view rock wall carvings and a meditational site. While out on the perimeter are a Hindu temple and an impressive bathing pool with fountains excavated only about 50 to 60 years ago back in 1954. We then have the Ubud Royal Palace. Just a hop away from the Ubud art market is the palace, and it is one of the most promised places in all of Ubud and also all of Bali. And then there's also some great walks in and around this region. Maybe you want to get away from the beaches, take in the Camp Huan Ridge Walk. Whilst up in the Ubud region, you do also want to check out some of the local arts and crafts. One of the most famous is the Siti Dharma Mask and Puppet House. It serves as a great cultural and educational part to understand the people of this region and to understand the ways in which puppets can tell the story of the families that live in and around this region. This is a place for families and also cultural lovers. It has a broad collection of items from around the globe, but also domestically as well. The site currently houses over 1,000 masks and over 4,000 puppets from all over the Indonesian archipelago. We're going to now look at a few little areas outside of Bali, or just a little bit further afield. One of those is North Bali. It is favoured for those who come to Bali for peace and quiet. The sort of traveller who would enjoy a dolphin watching from the dark sand beaches of Lovina, or wander the tree-lined streets and Dutch colonial era warehouses in Senggayara town. West Bali is all about natural beauty. West Bali National Park is an area of primary monsoon forest, mangroves, coral reef and beaches. It also has Menjagan Island, 5 miles from the main island, is a marine park that has coral reef gardens and is absolutely a snorkel's delight. As you can see here, the clarity is amazing, and you may also be fortunate enough to go and visit an area that's referred to as Deer Island. As you can understand, this is where they have deer on the island. Wild deer of the island migrated from the neighbouring Java and Bali when the island was not separated by the sea. Along with deer, a species of wild chicken, wild rabbits, and monitor lizard also inhabit the island as well. East Bali is for those who like the more experimental type of travel. This is the area where you're really going to get off the grid, so to speak. Of course, this also gives you something of a little bit of a natural wonderland as well when you're in East Bali and you visit a place such as Taman Ugan Water Palace. Now, for those that are looking at yoga and looking at experiencing Lombok, this may be your place of choice. Now, Lombok itself, the island for those who like eco experiences and outdoor activities, home to Indonesia's second highest volcano and epic surf breaks. There is no shortage of hiking and water fun to be had here. Development is low-key, no hustle and bustle here, just happy hum of people, enjoying life in the natural world simply. Of course, you'll be able to take in some beautiful sites such as Tengsik, which is the pink sand beach, also in the areas such as Mount Rajani. I know many of you will have considered taking a yoga experience or may want to discuss with your travel advisor a yoga experience. Some of the best yoga experiences in and around this region happen to be over on Lombok. Many people associate yoga and to Indonesia and going off and doing a camp or spending a week there. Some of the best to do that is at the Novotel Lombok. There's also the Ashitari in Lombok. It is a restaurant with an outdoor lounging deck to enjoy the Lombok coastal line from afar. The restaurant offers healthy food choices and drinks to accompany visitors while chilling out with friends and family. The yoga platform is a wooden deck overlooking the lush green forest. With many classes of yoga available for every level of skill, this shala has amazing surroundings that will help you to focus and find inner peace. But you may also want to look at doing a yoga class further afield out on some of the other islands, out on the Gili Islands. Now, one of these places that you can do yoga out on the Gili Islands is the Gili Yoga. There's also H20 Yoga and Meditation, and then there's also Mandala Blue. Now, you're probably wondering, how do you get out to these outer islands? Well, you take a speedboat to get out to the Gili Islands, and this is how the Gili Islands look. You have Gili Air, Gili Mino, and Gili Trawangan. Gili Mino is a deserted island, and Gili Air is the least developed of the three islands, suited to those who revel in being pampered, but also remote. So the Gili Islands has a little bit for everybody, but is very popular in regards to yoga experiences. However, out on the Gili Islands, as you can imagine, snorkeling is one of the favourite pastimes. Also, snorkeling and scuba diving, which can be obviously done on the same day. And the great thing about a lot of the snorkeling and scuba diving, you don't have to dive too deep to see the great biodiversity and the coral diversity in and around this region. And if you're so inclined, you might even want to go for a bike ride. Just make sure that the sand is not too soft over on the Gili Islands. It really is a place to relax and have fun. It is a little bit of a place further afield, obviously, from the main beaches of Kuta, Legion, Nusa Dua and the likes. And we do find that this is growing in popularity, especially for people who may be looking at a yoga retreat or for those who want to get off, the common route in and around Bali. Now, to understand Bali, I mean, you could spend, a week there. You could spend 2 weeks there. You could spend 3 weeks there. It just really depends on how much time that you have available. We work very closely with the travel advisor that's invited you here today. And just to give you an idea of what can be achieved for 7 days and 6 nights, there's a customized package that can be done. You're looking at about $1,000 per person. Day one, you would fly into Denpasar Airport. You'd arrive into Bali. Then you'd be then taken off to your your hotel. Now, this can be customized depending on what style of accommodation you're looking for, 4-star, 5-star, if you're looking for, infinity pools and those kind of things. Every hotel has something a little bit different. You might want a hotel that's associated to the main shopping centres. So that's something your travel advisor would be able to set out because you want to ensure you get exactly what you want from the hotel. So you arrive in to your hotel. This happens to be the Izzy Hotel in Seminyak. Get yourself sorted on day 1, and then on day 2 you're actually going to do some sightseeing and discover what Bali is all about, and you're going to experience areas such as Gunung Kawari Tagalang, go into these monuments, and as you can see here, they've all put sarongs on as a sign of respect as they're travelling in and amongst these monuments. And this will be your opportunity to explore, grab some photos, learn about the rich history of this region, visit places such as the Royal Courthouse, go up to the Besaki Temple. And then on day 3, you're going to relax in the morning, and in the afternoon enjoy a pleasant short ride along the hills of Bali's southern peninsula. This area, as we touched on earlier, is known as Phuket, which offers a landscape and topography different from every other part of the island. Unlike the typical lush tropical countryside, which owe their fertile soils to the volcanoes that dot the central highlands, this arid terrain formed by millennia of coral sediment is like a world of its own. So here you're going to be able to walk along the beaches, do a little bit of swimming, do a little bit of surfing, and really just enjoy what Bali is all about. And then the afternoon, obviously head up to the Uluwatu Temple in the evening to watch the sunset, and then also to be involved in the Kia Kak dance. So that's a full day in and around this region, and then you finish it off by having seafood dinner at the beach. So that's just an idea for your first 3 days. Then on day 4, we often suggest leaving it as a free day. But this is just an idea if you've got a week in Bali of a way that we find that people are able to really enjoy it. Because day 5, you jump up nice and early, have some breakfast, nice tropical fruits there, and then you head up into Ubud, which is a place not to be missed in Bali, as we touched on. This is where you've got a lot of artists, you've got a lot of great hotels, as we touched on that right at the start of today's presentation. The #1 hotel in the world, as voted by Travel and Leisure in 2020, is up in this region as well. And this is where you can see artists doing their trade. As you can see, some wood carvings here being done. But you're also going to see some of the most beautiful palaces that have been intertwined into the local environment in and around the local jungle. You'll be able to see the traditional Balinese houses. And then whilst you're up here, you've also got a full day just to explore at your own leisure. Now, that may mean, taking a class, a cooking class. Maybe that means doing some painting classes. It really just depends on the individual. And then on day 7, you're transferred back to the airport in Denpasar for your onward journey home. So that's just a really quick overview. I mean, that's a 7-day package if you are looking at traveling to Bali. Have a chat to your travel advisor. They would then be able to, make further suggestions on how much time you may want in each destination and what works best for you, depending on what you want to achieve on your time in Bali. But that just gives you a bit of an idea. Bali is a great destination in regards for value for money. As we touched on, always very important to work with your travel advisor on any trip to Bali and beyond, because they give you a number of different reasons: peace of mind, customer service, insight and expertise, and they have industry contacts to ensure that you get the most out of your trip further afield, and specifically into Indonesia and Bali on this occasion. Of course, if you do want to know more about any of the destinations that we cover, chat to your travel advisor. We'll be able to then get a Asia, Africa or South Pacific e-copy brochure out to you so you can start planning that next trip somewhere around the world. And as we have been doing, as we've been in lockdown for the last couple of months, our virtual vacations will continue to roll forward. And obviously this month we've had Tahiti on July 9th. We had South Australia on July 16th. And today was all about Bali. And then next week we're going to Fiji. So if you'd like any of these recordings, please talk to your travel advisor and they'd be able to provide you a link, which will then allow you to watch any of the presentations. We do have ones on South Africa, Australia, New Zealand. Just chat to your travel advisor and they'd be able to get that information for you as well. Of course, there were a number of different questions that came through and I'll endeavour to answer those now. Tonya, I can see you said good morning, so I'm just going to work through from the top to bottom and hopefully I can get through as many as possible. Tonya, good morning. Hey, hopefully we can head off again, travelling again soon. Tonya, I know you and I have you travelled before together, So hopefully there's an opportunity again in the future. Donna, thank you very much for the kind words there. Then also, I can see a few other people just saying thank you very much. I won't go through all the big thank yous because they've come through. So I appreciate all the kind words. Myself and Jeff Adam have been so happy to be able to give a virtual vacation on all of our destinations, just to be able to help our travel advisor community and also their potential clients, family and friends, just to check out what's available out there. And hopefully we're all going to be out there traveling again real soon. There was a question here on yoga retreats. Is the places you mentioned the only places in Bali? No, not whatsoever. I mean, there are so many great options in and around Bali and Indonesia for yoga retreats. You know, Nusa Dua, Lombok, as we touched on today, out at the Gili Islands. They were a little bit more remote, and that's why we sort of highlighted those. But if you are staying in around the main regions, you know, as we said, Legian, Nusa Dua, Kuta, there's a lot of different yoga retreats in and around there, and also up in Ubud as well. So all you need to do is chat to your travel advisor, and we'd be more than happy to be able to help out with that moving forward. Where are the best beaches? I guess one of the questions about the best beaches is it really depends on what you're looking for. I have personal experience. I have a lot of good friends who are good surfers, so they go up to Bali and they go surfing on the beaches that have those big crashing waves. Other people then go up to Bali because they have a family and they just want to go into areas that are a little bit more shoreline, so you don't have the waves crashing in on small children. So they want that more of a gentle breeze. So the best beaches really depend on what you're looking for. You know, Kuta is a beautiful beach, but it's got the party going on. Legian, Nusa Dua, Seminyak. They are all beautiful beaches in and around that region, slightly south of Denpasar. And then, as we touched on earlier, as you get a little bit further north, you get the volcanic sands. So the beaches are still great, but you're just going to get that white sand contrast as opposed to the volcanic sands of the north. In regards to diving, best places to go diving, well, anywhere. I know that's a very easy answer, but you would never be disappointed for the diving in and around Bali and Indonesia as well. And if you can get out and go a little bit further afield, you will simply be blown away. You know, when you've got 7 times as much biodiversity as what the Caribbean has, it starts to give you an understanding of when it all comes together. I mean, it's referred to as the Coral Triangle because they've got a number of different oceans and coral reef systems all coming together. So Bali is, right up there when people start talking about marine life and experiences. Definitely jumps very much to the front of the line, so to speak. All-inclusive. Yolanda was asking, are any of those resorts can be suited for all-inclusive? What you find, Yolanda, is specifically for, I guess Asia as a whole, and Bali we're talking about today, is a lot of it, they actually encourage you to get out and explore. So it's not that they don't want you to be eating at the restaurant, but what you do find is it's more breakfast will be included, and then they encourage you to go out and eat dinner somewhere else and have lunch somewhere else throughout. So there's not a lot of all-inclusive in Bali because the properties aren't as big as what we probably see in the Caribbean and Mexico and Cancun and places like that in regards to where they have these huge big acreage and you can do everything on the one property. In Bali, it's more about, hey, you stay at this beautiful property, you have breakfast there, and then you go out and explore and take in a lot of the sites. So not so much an all-inclusive region. And there were a few other questions here. We answered the one about that. Do you have any specific programs for groups? Yeah, groups, we can always help our travel advisors with groups. So if anyone's looking at a group tour or you've got friends and family that are looking at pulling a group tour together, just chat to your travel advisor and they can definitely chat to us about pulling together a group for them moving forward. So the key contact to all of this is if anyone is looking at going to Bali, have a chat to your travel advisor who invited you along to today's presentation, and then we'll be able to get the ball rolling. So any of the questions that I did miss, I will endeavour to follow up with email. I would like to say thank you very much. There were some great questions there. Many of them with some just great feedback and appreciated the last hour or so. Hey, it's our privilege to be able to share this information with our travel advisors and their friends, their families, their past clients, future clients, and just people who want to know a little bit more about the destination. So at the moment, we're here trying to make sure people, hey, when the doors do open back up, we're ready to go travelling. So we certainly will be, and we hope that you will be as well. So I'd like to say thank you very much for joining us, for taking, 45 minutes to an hour to learn a little bit more about Bali. It's been my absolute treat, and I hope that, hey, we can all go off to Bali again soon. So most importantly, though, when you're planning that next trip, chat to your travel advisor, and they'd love to be able to help you out. Have a great day. We'll talk to you soon. Bye for now.